Well, hello again. And I can't tell you how excited I am just to be looking at you. And I know now some of you because you have written to me, and I thank you very much. And it helps me to just feel like we're just in the same room talking to each other. And I hope you feel that way tonight. Ruth and Polston, speaking from the life that wins, continuing in my husband's ministry. And tonight I'm just going to play a little something, and then I've got to tell you something's on my heart. Peace, peace, wonderful peace, coming down from the Father above. Sweep over my spirit. In fathomless billows of love. You know what God is? Love. It can never be anything less and need never be anything more than love. Well, talking about the love of God, I tell you, can't get any better than Jesus. Yeah, right from the cross. I hope you had a wonderful Easter, by the way. I did. But looking down from the cross, he said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. So we're kind of looking into someone, you know, we think, well, that's Jesus. The Bible said, as he is, so are we in this world. Yeah, but you say, you don't know what they did. You don't know what that person has done. You don't know how that wounded me. I wouldn't make light of it. Some of them have had to come out of the deepest holes you could even imagine. But you know, it's all the same. Love. And you can't get that job done unless God does it in you. But he said, as he is. Not shall be, but is. So are we in this world. If that's not the exchange life, I don't know what it is, but I know I can say with the blind man, once I was blind, now I see. I can't explain it. It's a mystery. And people that try to explain it, they just hit it up on a dead street. Because there's some things you just know, that you know, that you know, but you know them by faith. So anyway, here's Paul. Now, Paul is an old man. Paul is in prison. He's in Rome, waiting any day to be carted off by Nero, I believe it was. And he's thinking, and in fact, he preached every day to whoever came by his house, and there were a lot of people. They said, even the people in Caesar's house. He said, the saints in Caesar's house greet you. Well, how did they get to be saints? Well, if they were sent out to take care of that prisoner Paul introduced them to Jesus. So that's exactly what he had done in our lesson today. There was a man back in Colossae. You know, Colossians? Okay, well, this was Colossae, they called it. So he's back in, and he's had slaves. But when Onesimus, now, who has met Paul, that had worked there in Rome, when he came into contact with Paul, he found Jesus. Now what's he going to do? Paul might be hauled off anytime. But so Paul's now, he's having thoughts. What can I do with Onesimus? So then he sends him packing. He said, I want you to go back to your owner. And he said, I have written a letter to him. Now this letter says that since you have been in Rome, you have been with me, you've been with Jesus. Now, he said, I don't know how much he took off of you. but I know it was something. And he said, Philemon, if you would please put that on my account. Now, I'll just read you this so you can get the full feeling of it. And he said, I'm writing to you, a fellow soldier, the church that is in your house. Back in Colossae, they couldn't even have church in a church or in a synagogue. They had to go to somebody's house, but they got the job done and they went around the world. He said, oh, I thank you. I thank my God every time I mention of you. And he said, I do it every day in my prayers. And I heard of your love, your faith that you have toward the Lord and toward all the saints. Oh, love, love, love. They will know that we're Christians by love. And the communion of thy faith, which can become effectual. And every good thing that is in you in Jesus Christ. And then he said, now, if I could be so bold in Christ, he said, for love's sake, I'm going to ask you, being such a one as Paul now, the aged, he said, but now a prisoner of Jesus Christ, I beseech you for my son. Who was Elizabeth? Paul said, that's my son. I talked to my son one day, and I was dealing out my husband's clothes, and I said, oh, see, that they wouldn't fit you and everything. And he said, Mom, I've got a lot of sons. Yeah, he sort of sees to it, and he doesn't even have to hardly work at it, but he gets sons wherever he goes. Now, what is that? It's love. So, okay, now let's go on. He said, for my son, Onesimus, and I begot him, or I had him. I gave birth to him while I was in prison. He said, in my bonds. What do you do when you're in prison? What do I do? Do I complain? Do I try to kick the guards? Do I say, you did this? No. He said, I just talk about Jesus when they come in the door. Which in times past, it was not profitable because he was an unprofitable servant to you, and I know that, and I don't minimize it. But he said, now I'm asking you that for my sake, would you receive him? And then he goes on to say, and he said, I would have kept him with me, that in the stead he could minister to me. He would have been a great blessing to me. But he said, he would have helped me to further the gospel. But he said, without thy mind would I do nothing until I had called you and written to you that thy benefit should not be, as it were, of necessity, but willingly. You wouldn't have to do this because I'm Paul asking you to. Could you find it in your heart, Philemon, to take him back? You know, sometimes when it comes down to the matter of forgiveness, you're thinking over a while. You know what they did? Do you know those invisible theys? And I tell you, the more you think about they, the more they multiply until you're seeing they in everybody. For perhaps maybe it's for a season. And he said, but maybe it's so you can receive him forever. Now, he said, not as a servant, I'm not asking him to come, but above a servant. He said, take him back this time as a brother. Oh, Paul. Who are you, Paul? He said, nobody. I'm just a servant. He said, I've already been to my own funeral. I'm ready to go. He said, in fact, it'd be a lot better if I did get to go. But he said, for your sakes and for the people like Onesimus, God keeps me here. So, now this is what he said. Receive him as a brother, especially for me, but how much more to you? I want him to be your brother now. He said, both in the flesh. Yeah, he said, this is not a game we're playing, you know. He said, he's going to have needs when he gets there. Will you treat him like a brother? Or will he still be the one that wears the scarlet letter? When do we take that scarlet letter off? And if he has wronged you, and he said, if he owes you anything, would you put that on my account? Now, did Paul have a bank account? I don't think so. No, he had people that would bring things to him because they were partners with him in the gospel. So, what was his account? Nothing other than Jesus Christ. And you know, if you're trusting on your bank account alone, it's not very much when we serve the man who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. So I want you to think about it today. How much? It said, and if you will consider me a partner, then receive him just like you would me. Paul said, did you notice I've written this with my own hand? They didn't have all the doctors to go to so that we could see them clearly. Don't you love it? There was an age. No, they wouldn't say, now we do this. I saw a cartoon the other day, and it was of a young person, and he was all beat up, and he was in the hospital, and his legs were in everything, and he said, somebody walked through him and says, I got this in the battle, in the church, he said, in the battle of the guitars. You know, there's no such thing as age. No. It's all brothers. It's all sisters. There's no age difference. No. So maybe you're thinking about somebody in your life. Who can I help to be reconciled? You know, maybe there are some people. I don't blame you, you could say, for being upset. But he said, if you are, put it on my account. Peace, peace, wonderful peace coming down from far. Sweep over my spirit, heavenly love, in fathomless billows of love. Oh yes, Jesus. Wonderful peace is coming down from the Father above. Sweep over my spirit with fathomless love. With fathomless billows of love. Ruth and Polston, have a wonderful week and enjoy the love of Jesus. God bless.